Chris leads a tedious life with a boring wife, a boring job, and 3 horrible kids. The only joy he gets comes from occasionally knocking one out in the shower.
Finished.
Okay.
That is until he discovers a new and exciting hobby. From 1984, this is Secrets of a Married Man. I'm Jay Harangue and I've wasted hours of my life watching terrible films.
You should subscribe.
This is Chris and he's the main character.
Hi.
He and his wife Katie have been married for ages. His house is disgusting, his children are vile, and his job is making parts for aeroplanes. All sounds a bit shit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Luckily, Chris does have his journey home from work to look forward to. I'm not sure where this is set, but is it not a bit early for it to be crawling with streetwalkers?
No.
Anyway, that night, Katie comes to him with some stories about work.
This big bucks client comes in, so I pull all the dividend books, and he had his pay dates reversed. Had him leave a very happy man.
You never wear that lace bikini I bought you.
She's like, Chris, did you listen to anything I said? And he's like, no, because it went on and on and on. He's like, just get your pants off. And she's like, no.
I hate it when you get like this.
Luckily, the next day at work, the admin girl comes in.
Let's see how much the government left me this week.
Enough to buy me a drink.
Later at this bar, Chris tells his friend with an arse on his face what he'd like to do to the admin girl. Before he gets somewhat distracted.
He's a creep.
Then Chris starts telling his friend how he'd never cheat on his wife, before leaving the bar and pulling over on the side of the road to stare at hookers.
Enjoying the show?
Just waiting for somebody.
Well, here she is.
I gotta go.
By then, the next morning, Chris is off to a convention for work. He asks Katie if she wants to come with him and have sex, and she's like, no. The convention seems to be just a load of people who make aeroplane parts, drinking at this bar and hiring prostitutes. So Chris thinks, right, I'll get one in too. The hotel calls him to tell him there's one on the way up to his room.
Good.
Yeah, better straighten that tie up, or she might not be up for it.
May I come in?
Yes.
And then they bang. There's no kissing, though.
I have to save something for my boyfriend.
Lucky guy. After the convention, Chris goes back to his boring life.
Lights, out of the car. Come on, buddy.
A lucky escape. As he's missed out on that opportunity, Chris decides to go and have sex with his wife instead.
Good reading.
Diversification of portfolio after probate.
Could have just said no. Anyway, so Chris goes in for it, but Katie's not feeling it at all.
Chris, I love to make love to you. Except when you get all dramatic about it. You make it so serious.
Not sure where to start with this, but it's clear things aren't working out. So Chris calls Katie from work and tells her he's going to have to stay late at work from now on.
Really?
Just a few hours, a couple of nights a week. But he's not working. He's picking up hookers. And oh no. That's right, Chris has picked up an STI. So there'll be no more hookers ever again. If Chris isn't going to have sex with hookers anymore, he may as well try to spice things up at home with his wife. So he goes to this shop to buy her some sexy underwear. Cringe. But while he's there... Oh, it looks like Chris has learned his lesson. So he pays for this pair of pants that are clearly too big for his wife and leaves.
I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable in there. I find you very attractive. My name's Elaine. Is there a chance we might be able to get together?
You're a hooker.
Kinda.
Kind of a hooker.
$125.
He's like, no way. That's the equivalent of 4 years membership to Jay Harangue's Patreon. And there's exclusive content coming soon.
Is that a fact?
It is, actually.
You can piss off.
You won't be disappointed.
No, you won't. Oh, she's talking about that.
Oops.
Anyway, so that's enough to convince him to go round her house. Elaine is much better than the other hookers because she's interested in his chat about aeroplane parts.
Oh, that sounds very exciting.
Does it?
No.
And then they bang. That was supposed to be a one-time thing, but when Chris's friend at work tells him he needs to relax, he knows the only way he can do that is by having sex with Elaine again. So now he's one of her regulars, and it's starting to feel a bit like an affair, something Chris said he would never, ever have. And then they bang. The next day,
I called you at work last night.
he's like, I must have been in the metals lab. She's like, are you having an affair, Chris? And he's like, no. Because technically he isn't. She's like, okay, Chris, let's have sex then. And he's like, I'm not just some piece of meat. You have to seduce me.
Well, suppose I try, and you're not interested.
Try another time.
Good plan. That night at Elaine's house, Chris chews her ear off with aeroplane chat. Sensing she's bored stiff, he's like, let's talk about you. So she tells him about her pimp, Jesse, who's a very bad man. So she's forced to do this until she gets her nursing degree. And then they bang. Now Chris is spending all his money on sex with Elaine. He's getting so sick of his home life that he starts randomly smacking his children.
Of course. Well, isn't that what most people do?
I don't think so.
Feeling guilty about this, he decides he needs to meet Elaine for a drink to discuss it.
I met Katie when I was in school. We got married, stayed with her mother. Alex was born. Brian was always a sensitive kid, so we moved. Things got tense, we argued.
I think I'd rather have sex with William Shatner than be on the end of this. His chat fucking stinks. And it goes on and on and on. She's like, fucking hell, Chris. Sorry, but I'm gonna have to get some money for this.
Yep.
So he gives her some money and leaves. When Chris gets home, Katie tries to initiate sex, but Chris is like, no, you're all right.
I don't want to lose you.
I don't want to lose you either.
So that's it. Chris is going to stop seeing Elaine and focus on his marriage. So he goes round to her house to tell her it's over. She's like, Chris, I don't give a fuck. I'm a prostitute. But while they're saying their goodbyes, Chris sees a massive bruise on her. He's like, right, you need to stop doing this. And she's like, I know, but if I stop, I won't be able to pay for nursing school.
Maybe I can try and help.
I'd pay you back.
Yeah, right.
As he leaves, he's pulled over by the police. They tell him to stop seeing Elaine because her whole nursing school thing is a scam.
What?
And all that money he's been giving her has been going straight into her pimp Jesse's pocket.
Oh, no.
Do yourself a favor. Lose this address.
See you, Romeo.
The next day at work, Elaine calls Chris and tells him she needs to talk to him.
You'd have taken it all, never blinked an eye. Did you ever laugh over that?
We all gotta make a living.
Not all of us have to make it on our backs.
And I gotta listen to you rattle on about airplanes.
You were paid.
Nowhere near enough, I guess. She's like, right, Chris, pay Jesse $5,000 or I'll tell your wife about us. He's like, fine, there's a phone box there. Call her now. In fact, how about I wrestle you over to it like this? So the blackmail angle hasn't worked. But uh-oh, when Chris leaves work the next day, someone's waiting by his car.
We must have a conversation. Jesse,
Get off my car.
Jesse's like, look, Chris, if you don't give me $5,000, I'll send hookers to you at work every day and make your wife into one of my prostitutes.
no.
Uh-oh.
Jesse tells Chris he wants $5,000 in cash or else. Then he starts turning up at the house and waving to him in front of his wife. So Chris has no choice but to come clean.
You brought this home to me! I don't know you.
You can't stay here.
You're right. I can't stay here.
So Katie takes the kids to her mum's. On his way to work the next day, Elaine jumps into Chris's car saying she needs to speak to him. She's like, Chris, this is bad. Jesse's got me working out on the street. I really need that money to get away from him.
It's another scam.
Who saw the bruises? I didn't make those up.
He's like, okay, I'll see what I can do.
Wait, what?
Chris arranges to buy Elaine a plane ticket to get out of town and meet her at the airport to give her a load of cash. But hang on, that's not Elaine.
Yeah, I know it. She couldn't make it.
It's tough being a pimp, living off of women, smacking them around.
Jesse's like, no, now give me the cash you brought with you. As Chris hands it over, he's like, Elaine told me you once killed someone. And Jesse's like, yeah, that's right, I did.
Bust this creep. What's right there? Do what he says. Okay, now. Okay, that's not enough. Give me a reason.
So Jesse goes to prison and Chris gives the cash to Elaine. Then he goes to see Katie at her mum's house.
Will you come home, Katie?
No. But I'm ready to talk.
And that's the end of the film, so until next time. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and please consider joining my Patreon. There's a link in the description. Thank you.